as Darragh mentioned there, the real losers here with this one is Poland, because they now cannot progress in the competition. It is the Netherlands who are top, France in second. What a game it's going to be next Tuesday between the Dutch and the Austrians, both battling it out for that second place. France will take on the eliminated Poles. At one stage during that second half, Didi, you said this just feels like a friendly.
Yeah, it started really well. First 20 minutes, chances either end, but it fizzled out pretty quickly. And yeah, in the second half, it was like a friendly game. I think the last 20 minutes, the Dutch were very happy after the goal was disallowed to come away with a draw, because the 4 points are probably already enough to go into the second round to the knockout stages. And yeah, I think both teams pretty happy. They didn't have the hardest games. It wasn't the most physical in the first half, even less in the second. So they both go home pretty happy, didn't lose too much energy, move on.
They don't look overly distraught there. Sure, they don't either side. Having said that, there may be people sitting at home, Shay, who might accuse us of hypocrisy, given that England had a draw yesterday to add to a narrow win in their opening game, and we're calling them out, whereas we're saying neither of these were all that pushed. Is it different?
Not really, I suppose. Like, keeping France tomorrow, I'm sure we'll have a field day on the French performance and the chances maybe they missed. And yeah, it just seemed to be a bit flat. I mean, and it's a shame, because we spoke about before game, two big nations, you know, lots of star players on show, and then we're scrambling around, you know, we're sort of a bit sitting back off here, disappointed. We're not having much chances to look at. Second half especially was really poor. And again, I suppose it's the format, maybe the competition. It might suit the lesser teams, but the big teams know they get 4 points, they're through. So did Koeman and Deschamps before the game shake hands on a draw, perhaps? It felt that way a little bit. I know that wouldn't be the case, but it's just a little bit frustrating from the neutral point of view that we didn't see more goals and more action.
Is it the format? Is that an issue?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem with the format is that it favours the teams in groups D, E and F, because their teams, or the teams in these groups, know towards the end of the group stage what they need to do to get out. So I think being in Group A and B is a huge disadvantage. And
just go into more detail about that for people who might be a bit confused. This is if you're going for probably for the third place slot, and you know more whether you need to risk going for more goals as opposed to sitting back.
So especially Group C and F, they play as the last two, so you know how many points and what goal difference the first four third place teams have, and then you know what you need to do. And you might even bring the keeper up in the last minute because you need another goal, which obviously you wouldn't do if you're in Group A or B. And this is why it's not fair. It should be a level playing field. It's not. Whether it favours the smaller ones, I do not know. But we shouldn't forget, when we talk about or compare England with the France game today, best player didn't play tonight, didn't even come on, Mbappe. He'll be back in the next game or in the last 16. And with France, you always feel at times they have shown what they can do. They play some terrific football. And obviously we haven't seen that with England in the first two games. And you always get the feeling with them, they've got at least a gear, probably two left. So whenever they need to, you always get a feeling they can step up. And I think this is the feeling, not really what people get when they watch England at the moment.
Is that exactly it? That it feels as if France are really playing within themselves and have so much more to go, whereas you just ask questions when you look at the England performance? Yeah,
I think this sort of performance tonight as well from both teams, you kind of think you get that in the last game of the group stage, not the sort of middle game. So it's frustrating from that point of view. But yeah, you know, we look at the French team, you look at their bench, they've got so much strength in it. It nearly at times looked too easy tonight. You know, they had so many chances. It was felt like, oh, the goal will come eventually. I mean, Rabiot, we spoke about at half-time, that chance is missed at the tournament.
You're still pulling the hair out.
It is, it's crazy. I don't know what he was thinking. I think Griezmann had a similar chance second half as well. We'll probably have a look at after the break. It was like, I think maybe just his first touch wasn't so good. You know, Verbruggen made a decent save, but again, he was 4 yards out, you know, big chances for them. And sometimes it can come across a bit easy, casual, it'll come, we'll get the next chance, but it just didn't come tonight.
We will get into detailed analysis in a few minutes' time, but before we go to break, Didi Hamann, you said at half-time that you thought during that first half it looked like France played with more cohesion when Kylian Mbappe isn't on the pitch. The stat has come through that in the last 6 games where Mbappe hasn't started, France have yet to win.
Big question that, Joanne, big question. I'm going to get some popcorn out and listen to this.
I was obviously wrong. No, I didn't say that.
No, we can leave it there. We'll just go to the break.
I said when he does come on, he's got to show that they're a better team with him. And again, we shouldn't read too much into today's game because I think they're both happy, they're both through, they both got a chance to win the group. But maybe you should have told me this before we went on at halftime.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Eddie.
It's all right.
By the way, we haven't forgotten, of course, that one of the teams did have the ball in the back of the net. Big scrap coming up between the two of them about whether or not that Netherlands should have stood. One of them believes it absolutely should have. So we look into that. And they didn't look so hot this evening, and yet they could well feel aggrieved at being denied that goal from Xavi Simon. Why don't you initially take us through it, Shay?
Well, I think it's a goal. I think the goal should stand. I really do. Obviously, there is a player, Dumfries, in an offside position. That's where the controversy comes from. But we'll have a look at it a bit closer when we see the replay from behind the goal. Dupay gets a shot off. It's a good save from Mike Mannion, and Simons has a great strike into the corner. Now, we'll have a look at the ruling after as well. As I say, it's the first part. So you see Dumfries there in the middle of the picture to the left of the goalkeeper. Diddy's argument is he can't dive for it. But we'll see the next angle. If you see Mike Magnon's eye line to the ball, when he's about to strike this, there's no one blocking him. There's no Dutch player blocking his eye line to the ball. And when it goes on, he can't dive. The ball's past him, and then he actually sees the Dumfries is standing next to him. So then he puts his hand up in the air to say, "This guy's in offside." I'm not arguing he's not in an offside position. I'm not saying that, but I don't think he's saving it, and he's not interfering with Mike Mannion diving.
OK, here it is. So a player moving from or standing in, which he clearly was, an offside position, is in the way of an opponent and interferes, this is the key here, with the movement of the opponent towards the ball. This is an offside offence if it impacts on the ability of the opponent to play or to challenge for the ball. So why do you think, Didi, that the goal should have been disallowed?
Well, because he interferes with him. And
why does he interfere with?
Because he's in an offside position, and now the corner of his eye, because he's level with him, maybe when Magnon starts, he's slightly ahead of him. Out the corner of his eye can see him. The ball goes there, and obviously if he does go down and dive, it dives into him.
No.
And offside, he interferes with him because where the ball goes and whether he saves the ball or not doesn't come into play.
But does he interfere with his movement towards the ball?
Of course he does, because he practically blocks him, because where he has to dive, this is where he stands. And if he does go down, Shay's point was, why doesn't he dive? Well, if he dives, he might hurt his hand, or he might get concussed because he dives into him. He does interfere with him. And the point is this: offside is a factual decision. It's a factual decision. And there's enough controversy about VAR, when it's used, how it's used, is it a pen, is it not?
That's not factual.
No, it is factual, because
disagree.
Because what you are saying, the video assistant got to make a decision whether the keeper would have saved the ball or not. And my question is, do we want this?
No, I don't want that either.
But you're saying he wouldn't have saved the ball anyway.
No, that's what I'm saying, yeah. And
but who's making that decision?
But what I'm saying to you, the ball's gone past him, and then he's looked, and then he's seen Dumfries, and then he's gone, it's an offside position. The ball's flashed by him before he can even make it.
You don't know this shit. You don't know that.
If we can show it again,
we can show it again. Let's have a look at it again.
Just one thing. Just have a look at the reaction of Dumfries when the ball goes in. Watch him. Watch Dumfries now. What he does. Watch him. He's walking away. He says, "Oh, I wasn't meant to stand here because I'm offside." Watch him walk away now.
I don't think he was disputing that.
Not because he knows. He knows.
But now look, if you watch Mike Magnon's face, watch Mike Magnon's face as it goes on now.
But he sees Dumfries, doesn't he?
But the ball's past him, and then he looks and he goes, he's offside. He's not saving that. But what my argument is,
but who's going to make the decision, Shay? The video assistant can make a decision. We've got enough arguments as it is. Do you want the video assistant to make a decision whether the keeper would have saved it or not?
What I'm saying to you is, if I'm Mike Magnon, if I'm trying to save the ball, I'm not going to risk, because for all he knows, there's another player down there playing him onside. So my reaction as a goalkeeper, I'm going to dive for that ball no matter what, because he can't scan as the ball's coming in. One of his players could have ran past him, playing Dumfries onside. And if I'm standing up in the thingy, I'm going to dive. If you're there or not, I'm going to go dive. I can dive in front of you or behind you. And if I whack into you and get injured, so be it. I don't know exactly where the rest of the players are in the park.
Well, it might be the case, but he sees him at the corner of his eye, doesn't he?
Yeah, at the end, and then he puts his hand up for offside.
Surely he saw him before, because when he gets up, he's looking this way. He looks.
In my opinion, it's a goal, and I know what he's trying to get at, and he's in an offside position. But I think the Netherlands will feel really hard done by tonight.
When you say offside is factual, the very basic original offside rule was factual, but over the years, have they not brought in a subjectivity to it? Once you start talking about whether or not somebody's interfering with play, whether or not they're stopping an opponent from blocking a movement towards the ball.
I think there was a goal disallowed for Liverpool in a cup final where a player in an offside position blocked another player and Van Dijk or somebody scored, the goal was taken back. Who's going to make that decision, Sean? Who's going to make the decision? There's a video assistant, he's a referee, he's probably never played the game. So is he's going to make the decision whether Mania would have got there or not? So do we want that?
So your issue is with the fact that it's somebody who's not on the pitch who is deciding whether or not a goal stands?
No, what I'm saying is whether Mania would have saved it or not shouldn't come into play. Because he's in offside position, he interferes with the goalkeeper. It's interference with the goalkeeper.
Says he's
I don't
not.
think he does. I don't think it. If Dumfries is standing in front of Mike Mannion in an offside position and he can't see the ball, then he's clearly offside and it's not a goal. But in my opinion, the ball's flashed by him and he doesn't even dive for it because it's too quick. Simon's had a really good strike and it's a goal. And then as the ball flashes by him, he sees Dumfries and then he puts his hand up waving for offside.
And the other thing, if we can see one more time, if the ball goes in between Dumfries and the keeper, I sympathise with it. I said, yeah, he shouldn't be given. But there's a time, because if the ball goes outside of Dumfries, so there's a point, now you can say, oh, it's too late anyway, where the keeper can't see the ball. Because obviously he's in between the ball and the goalkeeper. Yeah? So it's on the outside of Dumfries. If the ball goes in between the two.
So you're now saying it's also blocking his line, he's also blocking his line of vision?
Yeah, it goes to the left of the Dutch player, doesn't it?
Shay?
No, he's not blocking. He's not blocking the line of vision.
It's interference. I don't think there's two ways about it. He does interfere with the goalkeeper. Whether he would have saved it or not, I don't think comes into play.
So Denzel Dumfries himself, he doesn't know. He doesn't really know the rule, and you could easily criticise a player like that. But the laws of the game, they change on such a regular basis, and there's so many ins and outs of them. Is it understandable that he could be there like they're just not even knowing?
Yeah, and it's frustrating probably for people at home watching as well, because we're supposed to be the experts on here where he's saying one thing, I'm saying another, and then we speak to Dumfries after the game and he's not 100% sure the law should be black and white, I think, because I think there's too much wording around it that covers sort of every aspect, but we should know what's right and what's wrong.
What do you make of his reaction to it? He seems utterly unsure.
Yeah, he should know the rules. I think with offside, it has changed a lot. I'm more concerned with the handball rule, because the handball rule has been changing for the last 5 years. People don't know, the fans don't know anymore what the rule is. But obviously he knows if he's in an offside position, he blocks somebody. Obviously he sees it different, because the goal would have been scored. If it's the other way around, it would be interesting to see what Mannion has to say. Maybe we can hear of him after. But it's just one of them things, I think. For me, it's offside. It was given on the field, offside, and then it took an awful long time. And, I think if it takes 3 minutes to make a decision, obviously it's not a clear and obvious mistake. And this is why I don't know why it's been taken so long, because the decision has been given on the field. But we wanted VAR. Now, if I listen to Shay, we want the video assistant to make a decision if a ball goes in or not. I don't want it. We even had a sneaker meter.
I didn't say that, so don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say I want the video assistant to make decisions.
Well, this is what it comes down to. And we had, even in the Belgium game, we had a sneaker, we know from cricket, that the hand touched the ball. So we've got a chip in the ball. Now, if you told me 5 years ago, we've got sneaker meter in football, I would have said...
Snickers, you've got a bar of Snickers in the ball.
I would have said you're going macho, man. Because do we want this? I want people ask, I want football fans being asked, do we want the football as it is now? Because I think the Belgium goal should have stood when Openda was given that he's handled the ball. I think that's a goal. Do we want this? I don't want it, because I think there's potential it won't ruin the game, but it takes an awful lot away. We won very, very little or nothing, and we lost a lot. Because people, when a ball goes in, here they celebrate, and then obviously it's been taken back. People don't celebrate anymore. It's taken the emotion out of the game. And I think it hasn't done anything for football, bad things.
Would you be OK to going back to the old days where massive games are decided on a decision that could have
We've
been
got the
sorted.
same now, Gian. We've
We
got the
do.
same now.
I mean,
and I
there
can
was-
understand if a referee makes a mistake, I've got sympathy because the game's quick. If he's onside, it happens. It happens. But I can't accept if there's 3, 4, 5 people sitting in Hickley Park or wherever, Stockley Park, looking at the monitor and coming back with the wrong decision. And it happens time and time again. And I would be going back, yes. And obviously, because the discussion is not less. We talk more about decisions or bad decisions now than we ever did before.
I think there was a vote recently as well, the Premier League
In the
clubs,
Premier
and
League.
one club voted to scrap VAR. So it's not going to go away no matter how much we talk about it. But I do agree, it's ruining the game a little bit. The purity of when you score a goal, the celebrate and everyone. People are like sort of half celebrating, and that's not what football's supposed to bring joy and happiness to players and fans alike, and it seems to be bringing that away from it.
It brought it away from Xavi Simons. He was the one who put the ball in the back of the net. We've probably talked enough at this stage about what didn't count. How about what the Dutch did actually produce tonight? Did they give you a feeling that they could go a little bit further than perhaps we thought before?
Yeah, I think there was signs, definitely. Again, France had a lot of possession, probably had the better chances. But at the same time, I really felt, the likes of Simons and Gakpo, Depay a little bit, not so much with the headband. We mentioned that a bit beforehand. But again, I felt on the break, with the defence, they've got a solid defence with Van Dijk, obviously the captain leading that at the back. I think they'd be kind of a solid base, and then with the pace on the counter attack, when they get to the latter stages and knockout stages, I think a lot of teams will want to stay clear of them as well.
France did, though, in the second half, even though it was this very flat sort of game, they did get into the box a few times and probably should have scored, should they not?
Yeah, they had a couple of chances, but we talked about the Dutch defence before, and it's probably their strongest suit. These are half chances, and the back four is exceptional, and they defended well today. You will always allow the odd chance against France because they've got so much quality. It's impossible not to. This shot goes a yard wide. I think Verbruggen would have covered that. They had a lot of set pieces, France, but they never looked like scoring because it was very comfortably headed out by either De Vrij or Van Dijk, and France probed them. This is a great ball here by Kanté. It's a bad first touch from Griezmann. Maybe he has to take it first time. The manager's not happy, but I don't think there have been too many teams who kept a clean sheet against France. And it'll give them a lot of confidence. And I agree with Shea, with Frimpong in the first half, we've seen it. Depay, we didn't see an awful lot, but before that disallowed goal, the way he spun around the defender, that was exceptional. So they've got players who can decide games in a split second. And once you go behind against these, with the defence they've got, I think they could go or will go far.